Dr. Shotwell, we'll start off talking about the Plan A decision that the school board made. So how did that kind of come about, and what was the decision they came to, and the timeline and everything?
Sure. Back in October, the board decided that they would move from Plan B to Plan C until the end of the first semester. And on Monday, the decision was made to go to Plan A for pre-K through fifth grade, which means they would attend school 5 days a week starting January the 21st. And our middle and high school students would then start on the 21st as well, but on the hybrid model that we had before, where students would come 2 days every week. And then they would be a day in the middle for them to do remote catching up. Our teachers use that a lot to reach out to students that are not as engaged as they need to. So, but that's what the decision was on Monday. So on January 21st, we're going to have our buses rolling and kids coming back to school.
And remind me a little bit, because I seem to remember, I think it was back in August, September, there were some middle and high school students that were back in the building. So where are those grades currently?
Well, right now, we were all on Plan B for almost a month it was in October. And then when we got to the end of October, our numbers were surging, and the board made a decision to go all remote. And that's where we've been. So at the time, we did have pre-K through 12th grade on Plan B, but we've all been on remote learning since, and we currently are, and will be through the first semester, which roughly ends around, I think, around the 15th. Then you have the Martin Luther King holiday, and then we start our second semester up that week.
Gotcha. And what has it been like since the end of October in terms of cases and things for the district, since that decision was made to move to Plan C?
Well, we still have, cases. We still had, students that were testing positive and had to be quarantined, and some staff members. But I do think that probably being on remote did help from a little bit of the spread. But we're still doing everything, even with the teachers coming in. We're still doing everything with our safety protocols, providing them with PPEs, taking temperatures, wash your hands, and social distance.
Gotcha. And I do want to chat a little bit about the other decision that the board made. I know that it was tough, the decision that they made to end your contract. How are you feeling now that we're a couple days out from that?
Well, I have to look back at the past 15 years, and I've given it everything that I had. And we've got some really good things happening here in Rockingham County Schools. And sometimes decisions like this occur. And just like I said on Monday, sometimes the good Lord closes one door for another one to open up.
And this has been such a crazy year for everyone, and particularly for schools having to navigate this. So what has it been like, for your district overall, this overall picture of having to, adjust as you go and make these changes, midway through the semester and just keep going kind of thing?
Well, I can tell you there is nobody in the school business anywhere that would tell you that we prepared for a pandemic. There was not a playbook for this. So really, since March, this has been a learning experience for all of us. And I think one of the things that's nice about our leadership in Rockingham County as a whole is that as we learn, I'm listening to what the teachers are saying out in the schools about how the hybrid learning was not working in certain cases. I've also seen how the schools are going to be prepared as this second semester starts up to make some adjustments for that, because no one person has answers for this. And it's nothing like I've ever had to deal with as a teacher, as a principal, or as a superintendent the past 20 years. it's it's very humbling. If you thought that you knew how to lead, this pandemic has showed you that you've got to be open to suggestions and lead with all the input that you could possibly get from folks.
And how do you think that, dealing with that over last spring, this fall, has prepared you and the other leaders to tackle Plan A starting in the spring?
Well, we have explored so many different ways to uh, try to make our school safe with regular cleanings, what needs to be cleaned with the high touch areas, uh, putting markers out for students, mapping out classrooms to see exactly where students can sit and still maintain that social distancing, um, listening to our teachers about what they need to be successful. It's just, so that's why I feel like when we come back on the 21st, we've already gone through this test run once, in October. So we know what to expect when kids are coming in, like, cleaning our buses after each route, you know, uh, making sure that our restrooms, especially the high touch areas in there, are cleaned on a regular basis. And it just, the kids are washing their hands. I mean, that, and wearing their mask. But I'm going to tell you, people were worried about kids wanting to keep their mask, won't keep their mask on. When we were in school, those kids were so happy about being in school, they had no problem wearing those masks because they knew that that was one of the requirements for them to be able to come together and be with their friends.
And that seems like that's probably a big positive that you have learned, is that these kids are willing to follow the rules when they need to and everything.
Yeah, I mean, I think our students really, I mean, even the little ones understand the severity of what COVID could potentially cause because a lot of them have been touched by it with their families. Uh, you know, um, the other thing that we've also done, we've also gone and bought some backpack sprayers that we're using in our schools. Every school has one. Our middle and high schools have two. So if there's an area that needs to get a deeper clean, we can do that. And because I think everything that we can do to be proactive, the better that we're going to be in preventing the spread of the disease.
And I was looking around this morning, people's reactions to the board's decision for you. And it seems like there's a lot of support on social media. I'm sure you've seen some of it yourself. I mean, how does that feel to see that right now?
I could just tell you that for 15 years, I've given Rockingham County Schools love and dedication, and I love my teachers, and I love my parents and students that are here, and and it's and, and it's nice to know that they feel it too, because we're a family. I mean, that's what we are, and that's what really keeps us makes us a special school district, is that we're a family, and that's how I see our students and our parents and our teachers.
Dr. Shotwell, is there anything else you want to add? Anything that I didn't touch on about the move to Plan A that you think is important to mention?
I think it's just really important for parents to that if you have any suspicion that your students might have COVID-like symptoms, please don't send them to school. The best thing that you can do is to quarantine. Maybe it is just the sniffles, maybe it is just a cold, but it's better to go get tested and make sure that it's not, because when you allow a student to come to school with the potential for others catching it, then it's something that could have been isolated that then becomes a much larger problem for all of us to have to work with. So that's my biggest advice. But the other thing I would say is I'm looking forward to seeing those kids walk off those school buses and start going back into their classrooms.
And that will, of course, come within your last month. So does it feel good to know that you're going to be leaving on that positive note of students getting back into the building?
I think one of the architects of of leadership is that you create an organizational structure that if something happens to you, it can continue the mission of the organization. And so that's what I feel like that we're able to do, because there's been so many people involved in planning for kids to come back to school that it's much greater than me. And so I'm just going to be glad to see them come back to school. I have two boys, and I know that they're excited about coming back to school as well.